Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to 5v5 Live. That's Eric Kummel.
Yep.
I'm Matt Hempstead. And it's getting close to the time where we might see some exciting roster moves, Eric.
I mean, I thought rumors would already be swirling, but there's not a whole lot going on. There's a few things. There's a few things we're going to touch on, but not as juicy stuff as I was expecting. That's for next week, I guess.
I guess it's for next week, because November 21st is the official day that free agents can sign. Apparently, though, there are some players who can start changing teams, because according to our boy, Jacob Wolf,
Probably
from
Jacob.
ESPN, who's the only person who has any information, apparently, on anything League of Legends related, he says that players who are on some of these teams that disbanded or didn't make it into the LCS, that are contracted through 2018 or 2019, they can be moved starting this week, as of yesterday. So I'll read off the quick list of guys who are affected by this.
It's a big list. It might take you a while to read it.
They're like 10 guys. Shrimp, Xmithy, Poe Belter, Cody Sun, Onda, Stunt, Mike Young, Purian, Wiggly, and Selfie of Phoenix One, Alex Ich, Apollo Niski of Envy, Licorice and Dandy of United, and Phoenix. Those are the guys who could be moved prior to November 21st date.
Okay, so some of them will be on rosters for sure.
Yes.
In the 2018 LCS season. Some of them, probably not. I love Alex Ich. Is he going to be a starting mid laner? No. Maybe a sub? Probably not.
He's a sub now for Envy for some
Yeah, but
reason.
now they're actual subs that like actually have to play games.
Yes.
Like he's basically a sub to have their team name on his stream when he streams. That's what a lot of these guys have. And Anda, by the way, is the sub for Immortals, who had a lot of solo queue hype. He got super high up in the Korean ladder when guys were boot camping for Worlds. He was the highest Western player, which that has huge implications. But that was probably mostly because he wasn't scrimming any of the games, whereas all the other players were.
Yeah, while his team was playing scrims, he was being like, can I play? No, you may not
Go play solo queue.
Okay, guys.
I will.
But he was good at solo queue.
Very good.
That's not bad. Another guy, Licorice.
Got some
course.
hype.
He's got some hype too. A nice native top laner, young guy. Played for United, performed pretty well. So he could be looked at, especially if teams go for those import spots in different situations. He could be a guy you scoop up.
Yeah, and obviously guys like Xmithy and Mike Young. Those
Those
are the cream of the crop for these domestic junglers heading into 2018. So yeah, that's a huge list to be picking from for some of these new teams, and even some teams looking to upgrade at some positions like TSM.
So fingers crossed some of those guys get transferred prior to next Tuesday, because I want some roster moves so that I can talk about it.
There's so many that need to happen.
There's a lot, yeah.
But I mean, you've also got the roster moves. Along with that, you've got the Scouting Grounds, which we'll talk about a little later. You've got the Tyler 1 Championship Series, and then pretty much right after all that is All-Stars. So there's content.
There's a lot going on.
There's competitions going on, no doubt.
The only piece of news we really do have that is pretty relevant is Hans Hummel was teasing some people on Twitter, being like, bye EU, and then hello NA. And those are pretty spicy tweets, right, Eric?
He was spotted beachside, waterfront, in Miami with a Miami Heat hat.
Turns out
unbelievable.
Miami Heat is who owns Misfits. So he was just filming a little segment, literally 20 seconds, on the beach, where he stands there and looks at a camera. Or not a camera.
Oh yeah, it's not just any camera, it's a drone. Because you can't film a video these days without using a drone in some way, because it makes anything look cool. And especially, people just love to zoom out for 35 seconds until they're in space and you see the whole world. It's really cool.
We're filming our drone right now. Show them the effects.
Oh, you're doing that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Wait
the
till
drone is moving there.
Stick around for the end of the show, because we're going to do a huge zoom out like they do when the drones fly away. So make sure you're sticking around for that. But yeah, Hans Sama, he's going back to EU. I think he just went for vacation in Miami.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? I would, if I could.
Everyone got pranked. If you could, yeah. Eric's never had a vacation in his life?
No, not in Miami.
Not in Miami. I haven't been to Miami either. It's okay. All right, let's get to our first topic.
Okay.
Which is kind of a fun one, because even though we don't know for sure that these NBA teams are in the NA LCS, because Riot Games refuses to put out a statement saying that, these are the 10 teams in the NA LCS.
Wouldn't that be a twist?
That'd be, yeah.
P1, come on back.
But it seems to be more and more locked up because now there's actually some team names behind these NBA
NBA,
teams.
LOL, LCS teams.
That's it. NBA, LOL, LCS teams. Very confusing. And the team names are 100 Thieves is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that is Nate Schott's brand, who is now kind of the brand manager for this Cleveland Cavaliers eSports scene. And you have Clutch City Gaming for the Houston Rockets, which is kind of an historical throwback to 1994 when the Rockets finally won something.
Yeah, I like Clutch City Gaming.
I don't hate it.
It's associated with the Rockets, a little homage to them. And basically both of these names, Twitch chat is going to have a field day because you could have some terrific memes when either of these teams aren't very good going forward. I mean, 100 noobs, pretty stupid. Pretty clever. There's going to be a bunch of different ones with 100 whatever. Clutch City Gaming, I mean, Trash City. You don't have to be creative. That's the whole point of Twitch chat, is you pick something stupid and everyone jumps on board with it. But I do like Clutch City Gaming. 100 Thieves is kind of weird, unless teams call them the 100. Then it's cool.
It's also confusing because there's only 5 of them.
No, they have a very big roster.
I mean, that'd be something.
A lot of subs.
Yeah, I don't love 100 Thieves. It's confusing. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be as creative as you were saying. Even Trash City Gaming is a bit too creative. After a Baron Steal or a throw, it'll just be Clutch Lol. That's it. It'll just be
lol. 100 lols.
Yeah. It's
That's
not
pretty good.
You know how Twitch chat operates.
Yeah.
Their finest moment is probably Doms with crumbs, and I was like, they finally made it.
Pretty good.
They've achieved the impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they'll have some fun with those names, but Clutch City Gaming, I'm okay with. I don't know if you need the gaming in there.
Yeah,
but
anytime you're adding gaming, it just makes it sound a little more cringy. But I mean, Clutch City is maybe too casual.
Maybe, but it's not called like Patriots Sports. You know?
Maybe it should be.
That's
something
good.
People should really look into. How come 2 of these were announced, but not the Warriors team? That's what I want to know.
They want their big moment to themselves, man.
What's the Warriors name going to be?
I don't know.
It should be 300.
Just the
3-1
teams?
3-1? 300 to 100. Embrace the meme.
That'd be pretty good.
But, yeah. I'm okay with both of them. 100 Thieves is, it's all about the abbreviation.
What is the abbreviation for 100 Thieves? 100?
100. Or 1T.
1T? 1T is not bad.
1T.
It's like Tyler 1, but the opposite.
Yeah? Well, I mean, technically the opposite of T is probably like a letter on the other side, like at the start of the alphabet. I don't know how you do the opposite of letters, but CCG, that's cool.
CCG is not bad. I'm okay with it.
So
those are the 2 new teams in the NA LCS. We're still waiting on one
Supposedly.
official. Yeah, sorry, Ryan isn't an official statement.
Yeah.
It's all speculation.
Nice wink.
Thanks.
Shout out to Riot Games.
Yeah. So we have these NBA rosters.
We do.
They've got no players on them.
Nope.
But, you know, there's a lot of question marks as to how good can these teams be. Obviously, they've got 2 import slots, which are going to be the building blocks for what goes on here. But at the same time, I feel like some of these teams are going to be left in the dark with some pretty plain or not so good looking rosters. So Eric and I put together a couple of teams that show you the wide variety of how good can these teams be. So we have 1 top tier team, we've got 2 mid tier teams, and we have 1 low tier team, which hopefully we don't see.
There's a bit of a gray area between the mid tier and the low tier. You could maybe argue they're just all mid tier, kind of.
I think the low one's pretty low.
Okay.
Maybe one of the mid ones could also be low.
I think some of the mid ones are, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
And again, all of this is so dependent on who these big free agent acquisitions are from other regions, like Korea, all that stuff. Because if a big Korean guy comes over, it all goes to hell.
Yeah, it's all purely speculative and made up, but it's fun.
It's fun.
These aren't necessarily going to be rosters by any means, but they could be. Maybe.
They could. Maybe. So let's look at the best case scenario.
Team 1.
Team 1. You got something in the top lane.
Okay.
Mike Young in the jungle.
Oh, okay.
Pro Bolter mid.
Oh.
And then Cody Sun and Ole
Wow.
in the bot lane. So 3 out of 5 immortals. Your imports here are Ole and Someday.
Pretty good imports.
They all played in NA last split.
Yeah.
So they're all okay with the English language, I would say. Someday probably the weakest in this point. And then Mike Young, the man.
His English is pretty good.
His English, I would say, is fluent. Yeah.
Top notch.
So I think this is the best case scenario in terms of building a brand new roster. Again, unless you go out and get like this Sven and Mithy bot lane, which me and you are both kind of doubting at this point, and then these big Korean guys that could potentially come over, but there's just no reason to predict or think about who's going to be coming their way because we've heard absolutely no whispers.
Yeah, with the current players that are in NA or played in NA last year, this is probably one of the best rosters you can come up with, and that's pretty solid. But even with that, I don't think this roster rivals any of the top 3 in TSM, C9, or CLG if they get their stuff together. C9 and TSM, I'll say for sure. Don't think this roster will rival either of those rosters.
This roster reminds me of the old Immortals, the initial Immortals, where it was that Huni Reignover roster that was super aggressive, and all they did
Run around
was
killing people.
look for blood. And these games were pretty fun to watch, and that's what this kind of reminds me of. Mike Young, that aggressive guy, get things going and then just fight after fight after fight after fight after fight.
Yeah, how'd that work out for that Immortal squad?
Good than bad.
Good than bad. I mean, I'd take a 6th place finish and get to the LCS finals as opposed to not win a playoff series. But yeah, that is an interesting roster. Maybe they would surprise and actually, like, that's still going to be a top 4 team, I feel like. If
it's a thing.
If that were to be a team.
That is not a team. Statement.
That is not a team.
It is not a team.
But basically, the theme for having a really solid team coming in here is whoever gets pole belter. Because then you don't have to use an import slot on that mid lane, because the fall off for domestic mid laners after pole belter is bananas.
Yes.
And not in a good way. It's rotten bananas.
It's not even banana fish.
No, not even banana fish. Rotten banana fish.
Yeah. So I think, at least in my opinion, I do think some of these Immortal guys are going to stick together. It makes sense.
I don't think they all will. Maybe Ole and Cody Sun go as a duo somewhere. Maybe Xmithy and Pole Belter go off somewhere together. But I think all these teams, I don't know if they're going to be kind of working together, being like, we want this guy, well, we want this guy. I don't know if they're making deals. Is it just first come, first serve? Is it 100% the players say? There's still so much gray area as to how teams are actually going to be picking up these guys that I can't see other teams letting one team just basically scoop up the entire Immortals roster, because they'll be like, wow,
I have money too.
We want some. Share the load.
Share the load, Immortals. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
You love your references, huh?
Well, that was a pretty terrible one.
It was. That's okay. So let's go to the next tier down. We've got 2 in here. Mid-tier example 1. It's not terrible. It's okay. I mean, they bring in Power of Evil.
Yep.
And then the rest is some nice local talent with Xmithy, Altec Agent in the bot lane. That's a pretty good bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, they showed that they helped completely turn around Dignitas before ultimately imploding against CLG.
Yeah, and then we've got Zig in the top. And this is a spot where you can look at and say, oh, they can bring an import here. This team gets a lot better probably with an upgrade over Zig. Sure. Or you can say, oh, Forgiven, how are you doing? Would you like to come play on this team? And maybe, you know.
We tinkered with where Forgiven could slot in on some of these rosters.
And none of them made sense.
And the main thing is, who do you put him with bottom? I think out of guys from NA, Adrian probably is the guy who has the best chance of handling him, or at least keeping up with him. But I mean, a bot lane of like Forgiven and Xpecial, Forgiven and Hakuo, these just don't make sense. And Forgiven, I think he'd basically almost demand an import slot to come with him in that bottom lane. And I'm just not sure if it's that worth it. Sure, obviously he's a fantastic player, but is he that much better than like Altec?
Yeah.
Is he that much better?
I mean, I would say not. And especially if you bring in a bot support import duo, then you have to go with one of these domestic mid laners, a domestic jungler, and domestic top laner. And that's probably the weakest spot. Because, I mean, when it comes to NA talent, the strongest is in that bot lane.
Yeah.
At AD carry and support. So that's kind of where you want to keep, I would say, domestic, and then look elsewhere in that mid and top.
Yeah, you don't want to be forced to have a golden glue in the mid lane.
No.
No offense to my boy, Golden Glue.
No offense to Grayson.
Grayson, that's what his name is, that's right.
Yeah. We like you, you're just not
He's a hardworking guy.
He is.
And I respect the hell out of him, because he's kind of...
He's taking a lot of heat.
He's taking a lot of heat. He's gotten kind of screwed over by some teams, where he'll have good weeks and they'll be like, oh, good job, benched. But he has gotten a lot of looks in the LCS. I'm not sure if he'll be on a roster, a starting roster.
There you go. I think he'll be on a roster.
Starting roster.
Yeah.
Coming into 2018. But that's a tier below that roster than that first-tier team. And, yeah, maybe a big import comes in and completely changes that. But that's definitely a mid-tier team in the LCS. If that were to be a roster, that's a 6th-place team maybe, squeak into playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you. The next one in the mid-tier might look a bit familiar because it's Team Envy.
Oh, look at
that. That's a pretty mid-tier team. And
I would say about 6th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, where did they finish last?
6th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's in the mid. That's 6 out of 10. That's pretty middle.
Pretty middle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably unlikely that the entire roster sticks together, but I bet you it's more likely than Immortals. Because if someone says, we'll just take Envy, I think there's going to be less fight from other teams as opposed to the guys on Immortals after, going to Worlds, finishing 2nd in NA. Envy, they took CLG to Game 5.
Yeah, somehow.
But the second half of the split, they did not look that great. Even though they looked great in the first half. There are obviously pieces on Envy that are more valuable than others.
Right.
I think Apollo and HOU, whether or not they're a pair, they were super good in lane, so I think that's a domestic spot where you're going to take a guy. And Lyra is someone who's definitely worth an import slot.
He is. So, I mean, yeah, you can find someone other than Niski in that mid lane. You can definitely upgrade Seraph. That's even a spot where someone like Licorice would make sense.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I'd probably take a risk on a younger, more solo queue guy than Seraph, who's been around for a while and hasn't really panned out on any team he's been on, except for maybe TDK, where he was a star.
There you go.
About a split.
He was popping off with some Nidalee top.
Yeah, he was. He was doing some weird stuff.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Envy would be probably comparable to that last team we showed, I think, where they would finish. I think that's a pretty similar roster that's going to be that 5 to 7, 5 to 8 area, around there.
Well, I think that team in the new form NA LCS is going to be worse off than what it was last year.
Yes.
Because you're not going to see these weak-looking Echo Fox teams. I don't think. Maybe you will. Who knows?
Well, how's Echo Fox getting a lot better?
Hopefully an AD carry upgrade.
Mash me? He'll start.
No mash.
No mash?
Don't start me. Is his
No
new
mash.
name. What do you
Don't
think?
start me. Oh, that would be a funny name.
That's a good meme, actually.
That's a good
I
meme.
should start that next time on Twitch chat.
Yeah, well, he probably won't be in a game, so
That's true.
might not start it.
So that's probably the middling kind of rosters you can build.
Now what's left?
Now for the good stuff. Let's go to
The
the low tier.
scraps.
What's potential? Say you're the last team to kind of be like, oh, we're late to the party.
Uh-oh.
Let's see what's left. This is what's left. This is the kind of stuff you have to deal with. Solo in the top lane. Santorin, who is North American and putting up some pretty good solo queue performances in the jungle. Who knows, he could pan out. And then Selfie is one of the lower tier imports, I would say, for the mid, but he's had high potential for a while. And then Arrow with
Spring
a
Split
special
MVP!
and Summer Split dud. The Phoenix 1 bot lane.
Yeah, obviously, Solo or Licorice could kind of have there.
Right.
Both guys have a bit of hype coming into this split as guys who could maybe compete at the LCS level or maybe excel at the LCS level in that top lane. Santorin's a familiar face. Selfie's a guy that I really hope gets an opportunity because that's another guy who's gotten completely shafted by some teams where he's played super well, gotten guys through tournaments in the challenger scene. To get to the LCS, then it's a whole new roster. See ya. Thanks for getting us here. Then we have a whole new roster. He's been solid for a while now, even when he was in the LCS. Super hot crew.
That's right.
Maybe he should be reunited, Mr. Rales.
Where's Impaler?
Where's Impaler? Bring him back. That team wouldn't be good. Don't do that. But Selfie's pretty good. I'm scratching my head if Arrow would somehow end up on this team. He'd be like, what am I doing?
Well, that was kind of a situation last year, too.
Yeah, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I guess he's got some synergy with Xpecial, though.
Yeah, they're buddies. I'm sure they hang out all the time.
They seemed like best pals on P1. But yeah, that team, that's a bottom 2 or 3 team, right?
It definitely is. And that's, again, that's what you could potentially have if you're not scoring these big-time free agents, if you miss on the import pool, that kind of thing. So don't do that.
Again, I can't see any of these newer teams doing that. And now we did 4 kind of teams there. Obviously, Optic, still pretty heavily linked with Vizicachi and Hillisang. Whether or not Hylissang's actually playing, again, a lot of gray areas. Don't really know what's going on. But I can't see any of these teams just ending up with something like that and being like, oh, signing period was yesterday? Oh, no. Yeah. Who do we? Santorin? Okay. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be a little more evenly dispersed, which probably means you're going to end up with 3 mid-tier teams.
Yeah.
Guys fighting for those last couple playoff spots. Couple make it, couple don't.
I feel like there's one team who's going to go pretty crazy and get a lot of good stuff going on. Again, it's like we said, I think whoever gets pole belter is in a great position.
Yep.
Right off the bat. You get pretty much the only guy domestically who can just fill in that mid lane and be solid, frees up the import slots for 2 other roles. And it looks good if you get Pope. So
yeah, I mean, he is just fielding all kinds of offers, I hope. Getting phone calls 24 hours a day.
It's a lot of phone
calls. It's a lot of phone calls. I don't think I've been on the phone for 24 hours in my life combined.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pobalt is going to be the most sought-after guy, and I'm sure it's a good feeling for him to be so wanted by everyone. And wherever he signs, I think all the other chips will follow. Or maybe he'll be the last guy. Who knows? So many question marks.
A lot of questions.
Too many.
That's why. Those were not real rosters. They're just theoretical.
Yes.
These could be potential teams at differing levels of goodness, of course.
Differing levels of goodness. That's
yeah.
right.
Another place that people can, or some of these teams can sign players is the Scouting Grounds, coming up November 26th to December 3rd. And the 20 players going were announced. A lot of top solo queue guys. Some guys we know from the past. Hard was a LCS guy. Nintendo X.
Whoa, that's a throwback.
That's a throwback. He's up there in the challenger ladder again. Good to see his name. Poor guy, man. He went through hell and back, taking all kind of criticism from the fans. But he's back. He's ready to get criticized again, I'm sure.
Yeah, he basically was flamed for the whole last split of his career, maybe even longer than that. But yeah, kudos to him. He said he's been grinding hard, getting back to challenger. He's playing in this tournament. He's playing in the Tyler 1 Championship. Really just trying to get his name out there. So kudos to him. It's not often you see guys who have played and then taken multiple years off come back and try and get into the pro scene. So I'm excited, and I wish nothing but the best for Nintendo X.
It'd be cool to see him get picked up.
He's a funny guy, too.
Yeah.
Good personality.
Yeah, I know. Some other guys on that list. Linsanity.
Yeah.
If you watch any Twitch streams, he's always screwing around in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of these names that if you're watching High Yellow guys streams pretty often, you'd recognize their names. They're in their games a lot.
And Joey, who was CLG support sub for a little bit.
Yeah, that went well.
It was a great game. It was a very good game or two.
Pretty unfair circumstance.
Oh, yeah.
Very short notice.
You want to play for Afro? He's dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Afro doesn't play AD anymore, believe it or not.
No.
I know he might look good on stream when he plays the Vayne every now and then.
Right, that's what it was. It was Stixley who was sick.
Yeah.
Afro moved to AD. Joey went to support him.
Yeah.
And it was a disaster, believe it or not.
Not ideal.
No.
Gone are the days of Afro's level 2 all-ins with Draven when he still had the bleed passive. Those days are gone. Afro doesn't play AD anymore.
But yeah, these 20 players going to form 4 teams, see some sort of draft. Then they'll play in this weird tournament where they're going to have to somehow form chemistry. They'll have an LCS coach backing them to try to help them put some sort of legitimate strategy together.
Doing this?
We don't know that yet.
Why would you do
We don't know who the coaches are or why they're going to put their time to do this. But after the whole tournament's done, teams draft 1 player per team. The order, don't know how that's going to work yet. Hasn't been announced, but we'll see. So they'll have a chance to sign at least one of these guys out of the Scouting Grounds. So another way to pick up some local talent.
I think it'll be interesting seeing this tournament, how it's going to work. Because, yeah, League of Legends is a team game, but all these guys are kind of just hoping to get picked up by a team. So you really want to showcase your individual talents. And obviously, the best way to do that is help your team win and win a lot of these games. But, I mean, in like the top lane, you got to feel like some of these guys are going to try and go for epic 1v1s or something to try and outplay the other guys. And yeah, these guys have 0 synergy. It's going to be solo queue games, which should be interesting. Should be a fun time.
Should be an interesting tournament for sure. Before we get to the last topic, send in your questions. We're going to get to them quite shortly. We'll answer them until the moon goes up.
We're going to be answering questions for a very long time.
No,
I guess it's only like 2 hours. The sun sets at like 3:30.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't say sun goes down. I just wanted to mix it up.
The moon goes up.
It does.
Yeah.
We'll be here till the moon goes up there.
Yeah, that's right. The moon rises.
But before that, the new patch has brought about a whole lot of craziness.
I love craziness.
And with that, the champion win rates are all over the place. And as of yesterday, there's some interesting people on top of those win rate percentages.
Champions, not people.
Whatever. They're people to me. I always interact with them.
Yeah, a giant tree is a person.
He is.
Okay.
He's a very nice guy.
Okay.
So we're going to go through every position here real quick and see who's dominating solo queue and the ranked ladder.
A lot over 50%, we'll say that.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, look, a tree.
It's a tree.
Yeah.
But I know as of today, Maokai's up at first in that winner percentage. But as of yesterday, he was third.
It's pretty close there, the top three.
Yeah, Wukong and York. What's going on here?
Well, you've been playing some Yorick, so you have a hand in that.
I
You
have.
winning a lot?
Yeah, you pick Grasp and you just split push forever. It's pretty strong, especially now that you can use Q on turrets. It's like old Trundle, and it's pretty strong. Especially you get ganked, you just bring up your Ghost.
And see ya, 1v2.
1v2, it happens. And then
Those-
Wukong's more cheesy than anything.
Yeah, I mean, people have said he's a very clunky champion, but yeah, he's kind of like Pantheon. You start snowballing, and it's not fun to play against as a squishy.
No, and Maokai taking full advantage of those tank things.
Ah, what are these?
This is off. Rammus is good to see back, but he's very tanky, and he gets pretty fast too with some of these new runes. And then you have, obviously, some solo queue monsters and Shaco and Shyvana.
That's basically the 2 to 5 are just solo queue stomp.
Yes.
Get ahead, snowball. I'm not ganking, I'm just farming and then going to get kills. So.
Shaco with Ignite Smite, of course.
Ugh. Zin is a disgusting champion when he gets ahead. Shyvana just AFKs and gets super fed, and Jax is terrifying. These are very random looking champions.
Yes.
They're at the top of the win rate so far, and
Keep in
I don't know
mind-
if they'll stick around. Look at that!
Yeah.
Heimer!
Heimer's the only. Keep in mind, some of these pick rates are very low, like
Right.
sometimes below 1%. So there's like one guy spamming it,
Yeah.
and that win rate is pretty much his win rate.
Yeah.
But it's just a sign of things are not the side whatsoever.
I think Xerath is good. I think Xerath will be good. I
With
think
the
people,
summon Airy.
Yeah, I think people might start playing him more. Malzahar, he's been pretty meta before. Katarina would be very interesting to see picked more often because, I mean, getting a mastery on that champion is very difficult. So seeing some pro guys play her would be cool, but I don't think Heimer is going to be meta anytime soon.
I doubt it. Katarina has been a lot of pros saying she's pretty busted. Of course, look at that win rate on Ezreal. 56.99%, almost 57.
Yeah, look at those top two and then the drop off.
The drop. Well, I mean, there's
4%.
only so many 80 carries, and pretty much everyone's playing Ezreal and Vayne right now.
Yeah.
When it comes to the 80 carry.
Where's
position.
Vayne there?
It's not up there, believe it or not. That seems about right to me.
Vayne spotting.
Yeah.
That's my specialty. MF is interesting.
It's the E with summon Airy, man.
Yeah, I laned against that yesterday. It was disgusting and not fun at all. So that's very interesting. She's so unique compared to other 80 carries. So I think she brings that interesting aspect that other guys might not have. And obviously her ult is huge, and Sona's gross.
Sona is gross. She can do pretty much a bunch of different rune setups, but again, summon Airy is the common factor on things that are generally pretty busted, whether it's Pantheon in the top lane or Sona in the bot. And then Leona, as of today, has the highest win rate because Aftershock is very good. She's tanky. Get
Gotta
in,
go press the
stun
attack,
someone.
man.
Get out of here with your Fervor replacement.
Yeah, it's better.
I
It's
don't
even
believe
better
it.
than Fervor.
I don't believe it. But a lot of tanky guys, even Maokai. Maokai
You're
just
telling me
busted
he
with
has
the
a
new tank change.
52.9% win rate as a support?
Yes, he's also good at jungling.
Is he good mid? Full AP?
No, I don't think so.
Try that one out.
I don't think so. But everything's a little wonky right now. But basically, if you're looking at some of the runes that are pretty busted, Aftershock's looking very good. Summon Airy is obnoxious in laning phase, especially now you don't have some of these resistances in the
Yeah.
early game. And then Klepto Ez is very popular.
Here's another good one. Electrocute on Vayne. Surprisingly good.
Is it?
Yeah. That third proc you get with the silver
Must do a
bolts,
ton of damage.
it's disgusting. Especially because there's a slight delay after the silver bolts proc. Then it's basically like another silver bolts proc. It's gross.
So what's your combo?
What's your combo?
What are the 3 attacks you get off?
Well, you can either auto tumble E or auto tumble auto.
I hate how Tumble counts as a different ability because it's just
That's
an
right.
auto attack.
That's right.
Some of the things that are triggered by Electrocute don't make any sense. Like with Udyr, if you have your Tiger stance on and you just hit him, that's it. That counts as an electrocute stat.
So that's pretty busted.
I leaned against it. I'm like, what? This is stupid.
Huh.
Anyways.
Should be running Udyr. But
We're just saying there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
There's a lot of things you wouldn't expect to work well. Like the electrocute, I didn't mean to do that. The runes are still kind of buggy in this champion select, and half the time I don't change them or I run out of time change them. And I left with something you wouldn't expect, and that's how you discover new things. So just try it out, even if it sounds ridiculous. There's no wrong choice right now in the preseason because no one knows what's going on. No one knows. It's crazy.
It is very unusual, Eric.
Yes.
So yeah, just get out there, try some new stuff, because really no one knows what's good right now. But a lot of pros trying to figure it out. A lot of pros.
They got some time. They got a couple months.
Yeah.
Or a month. Less than a month for All-Stars. Question time.
Let's do some questions.
QT from a cutie. Get it? Question time.
Yeah, I got
From
it.
a cutie.
That's great. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
First question. When do rosters have to be locked in? That's a hell of a question. I don't think there's a set
they've
deadline.
announced.
I mean, the deadline is probably the first day of LCS.
I would imagine it's probably a week or two before then, at least. And the spring split starts January 20th, right? Right in the smack of spring.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Probably a couple weeks before then, I would hope.
I mean, it's not even so much a deadline. It's, man, these teams have to have viable rosters together so they can start practicing and get ready for spring.
Something like...
The deadline's definitely closer to like the actual split start date, but if you're the team, it'd be nice to have it at least before like, mid-December.
Yeah, something like January 1st would be like... That would make sense as like a lock-in date. The first day of the new year, you got to have your roster settled. That would make sense, but they probably won't announce when the deadline is until after January 1st, so it should be interesting. Riot has a lot of content they need to output to update people, which they haven't done yet, so
No.
get on it, Riot. Get on it.
There's a lot of held back information.
Yeah.
Teams?
They're being sneaky about it.
Yeah, they are being sneaky. Fed8677 says, greetings from the UK.
Greetings.
Greetings,
from
Senor.
the UK.
That's how they say it.
How's the weather
Senor.
out there?
Probably foggy. Based
Foggy.
on foggy and rainy is the usual suspect.
That's
Out in
what it's
London
like here
anyway.
too.
Yeah, hey, we understand. Do you believe that Sven and Mithy will go to NA?
You know, I kind of did initially when Ocelot released that weird video of him doing a Skype call and them not really listening or paying attention, but I haven't really heard anything about it since then, and the more I think about it, I'm like, why would they leave G2? They have a pretty amazing opportunity to get the Worlds again, maybe win the EU LCS again. If you keep Sven, Mithy, and Perks on a team together, that's going to be the favorite to win EU. It doesn't really matter who they get in the jungle and in the top lane, and if they do get an EU super team or get some imports in there, I mean, that's pretty much the only team an import would want to go to if you're going to EU. So the less I hear about it and the more I think about it, I don't think they're going to go to NA.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more doubtful too. And especially when initially we thought they'd just go to the same team. But even that now seems more and more less likely just because if you do bring in those two imports in the bot lane, then you need a domestic mid, you need a domestic jungler, you need a domestic top. When you look at who's available, it's not looking so pretty. So sure, you could bring in those two guys, but then the rest of your team is going to be pretty bare unless you score the top guys available in the Pobelters, the Xmithys, the Mike Youngs, that kind of thing. So is it something you want to build your whole team around? Or maybe you just take one of them and then you'll still be okay across the board. Or you just bring in nobody and you find someone to take your mid as an import or your top lane. So it's more of a logistic thing in building your roster as a whole than do they want to come over. But I still think if they do want to, someone will take them on.
Yeah, and if they really want to split up, Mithy's a guy who could withstand Forgiven's wrath.
Yeah.
Even though, again, that's still not saving you an import slot. Might as well just keep Sven. But it all depends on if they want to stay together or if they're willing to be separated. But I think they're staying on G2. They're not going anywhere else in EU. That would make no sense.
Yeah, no, I agree, Eric. Why does NA have no mid laners? It's a really popular position here in Europe. That's a solid point because in Europe,
well, NA has plenty of EU mid laners.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great EU mid laners too, just like you guys. It's an interesting question because, I mean, back in the day, the original days of NA LCS, you had Reginald, you had Big Fat LP, you had all these guys. ManCloud was great. Link was a top tier guy.
High when he first came in.
Right, High, less so now. But all these guys were like pioneers of the position, and they dominated for such a long time. And I think over time, it just gave these other guys less experience on the main stage, even in like sub positions and all this stuff. It was always these same guys dominating that spot, and other guys would come in and just not perform well. There hasn't been a hyped NA mid laner in God knows when, Eric.
Since Pobelter.
Since Pobelter, yeah. He's really the only guy who's come out of solo queue and been like, oh,
there he is.
Wow, Pob's amazing.
Yeah, now it's basically shifted to AD for NA. Now they've got a plethora of talent there. I mean, probably the top 4 AD carries in NA are from NA.
Wow.
Sneaky, Double If, Sticks. Wild Turtle's a guy who's been around for a long time at the top there. And now mid laners, yeah, it's no secret. EU has amazing mid laners, and they keep coming to NA. Okay. They basically have, NA basically has 3 of the best mid laners. The 3 best mid laners in NA are probably from EU. Maybe you throw HOU ahead of Froggen, but it's just kind of how the game has developed now. I don't know why they have these groupings of the different positions and how they go by meta or by season. It's kind of weird how it fluctuates like that. But right now, EU mid laners are definitely have a deeper talent pool than NA. And I don't know why.
But yeah, even having so many EU mid laners in NA definitely stunts the growth of the NA talent in that mid pool.
Yep.
Doesn't help when you can't get any playing time on the big stage. So,
nope.
But even then, I don't even know who you'd bring up. Golden Goose had a chance, didn't work out. He was one of those hyped up guys.
Chances.
So it's an interesting question. But yeah, that's
Maybe
why we're
one of
taking
these challenger guys from the Scouting Grounds. Maybe they impress some teams to throw them on the substitute roster to start, and maybe they surprise.
Potentially.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping. Kyler asked, does Santorin still take an import slot? He does not.
He does not.
Which is very valuable.
Yeah, and his is a little bit confusing because he was on TSM a while ago. I believe he went back to EU, played on a challenger team for a bit, but now he's been pretty cemented in the NA challenger scene for a while that he has become an NA resident, which, yes, is very valuable. And he looked pretty solid in the challenger scene last year. So I think he's a guy you can sub in and save that import slot. And I think a team will take some legitimate looks at him. Legitimate looks.
Yeah.
Legitimate.
I agree, Eric.
I'm glad.
I agree. That's how much I agree.
Wow.
Wow, right?
That's some serious agreement.
Pretty crazy. Me Too asked, will Sunday and Ryu stay in NA? And are there chances for the 2016 H2K to reform with Forgiven and Ryu and most likely Vander? Oh boy, that's spicy.
Oh, they're going back to EU on that H2K team. Because you can't have all those imports in NA.
Right.
Where's Febiven going?
So will Ryu stay, or will he go back to H2K with Ryu and Forgiven and Vander? What a team that
Where's
is.
Febiven going if that happens?
We don't need Febiven. He's terrible.
That's true.
I mean, you could replace Ryu with Febiven in NA. That'd be a big upgrade.
Yeah, that sounds good for NA, and that doesn't sound like a great EU team.
So will Someday and Ryu stay in North America?
I think Someday probably will. I mean, he's had pretty good, especially last split, he looked fantastic. His first split with Dig, he looked pretty good, but the team as a whole, they didn't really know what was going on. And in summer, they played around him a lot, and it worked pretty well. They became a little bit predictable at points, but I don't see why he would want to leave NA. He can dominate that league. He can be one of the top guys in that league, and I think a lot of teams will be willing to use an import slot to keep him on their roster. Ryu, probably not going to be quite as sought after, so he might not end up being on a starting roster, in which case he very well might go back to EU. But he's not taking Febiven's spot. No. Unless Febiven decides he's leaving H2K, Ryu's not going to take his spot.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Again, Ryu, he showed on Phoenix when he still, at times, can perform, pretty much when he's playing Corki. Kind of the whole high treatment there.
Yep.
Play Corki and win, but other than that, he had some rough games. I don't think anyone's going to be fighting too hard to put him in that import slot.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But you don't know. There's not a very deep mid lane talent pool unless more guys are coming in.
And Me Too with a follow-up question. What's going to happen to Mad Life? I don't know.
Oh,
maybe
how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, I know. His mistake was going to Gold Coin United.
That was a mistake. I think he's had a few mistakes, but he's immortal. He's got the mad life. He's got the mad life. I don't think a team's going to pick him up.
No.
That's a worthy import slot. You'd rather have a guy like Ole, Ignar, or even not use an import slot and get a guy like Xpecial maybe. I think people would actually, some teams would actually take Xpecial over Mad Life right now. Isn't that crazy?
I think you do, only because, again, putting that, is that really much of an upgrade over Xpecial, Mad Life?
No.
It's not.
So it's definitely not worth an import slot. Maybe he goes back to Korea. He's not going to be on a top team, though.
No.
He's going to be on one of the lower tier teams. So maybe it's time to be coach. Time to become a coach.
Call it a day.
Look at Rapid Star on SKT.
Having a time.
Mad Life. Go to CJ Entis. Oh.
Wait. CJ is dead.
Don't exist.
Too soon, man.
He'll find somewhere. Guy's a legend.
Yeah, he'll be doing something. Yanro Bothus says, greetings from South Africa. Hello, sire.
Okay, greetings.
With the NBA rosters, when do you think they will finally show LoL on TV like ESPN?
I mean, they have showed some stuff on ESPN. I don't think it was specifically League, but they have ESPN. They have a channel. I forget what it's called. ESPN.
Evo was on TV. There's other tournaments that have been on there too. So.
And I mean, in Korea, it's been on TV for like over a decade. They've been showing esports on there, so they're miles ahead in terms of that. But for ESPN, I still think we're several years away from that, especially with how well Twitch is doing and everything. And it sounds like the Overwatch League, their primary broadcasts are actually going to do from their own website, I think. They will do it on Twitch, but the main feed is going to be going from their website. So I think with cable going away, in most places, I don't think esports are going to hop on that cable train. They've got such a digital presence that they don't have to.
Yeah, I don't even think TV makes too much sense from a esports perspective. I mean, I'm never going to watch it on TV as opposed to on my laptop, on my PC.
And I think most people are like that. Most people who are watching esports aren't going to watch it on TV because they don't have cable. So there's no reason to.
Cord cutting. I'm not admitting to cord cutting.
You just did.
No.
Get him.
Get him. They're coming. I will not be here next Monday for the show.
Or ever again.
I will be in cable prison. It's a scary place.
Cables?
It's just a lot of cables.
That sounds pretty bad, actually.
It's like a storage room.
Ooh, gotta chill.
Our list statistics from all ELOs. OP.DG, where the statistics are from, and they take it from plat and up. So that's not including...
That's not you.
Come on, man.
Got him.
Why would you flame me like that?
Sorry.
But yeah, no, so it's from the higher levels, so it's not like how Blitzcrank was always a top win percentage.
Dude, Blitzcrank
in the lower tiers.
is an OP champ.
That's
all I gotta say. All these move speeds on him, it's impossible to play against.
Eric's a bit salty.
Yeah.
LOL sub for life. Which ADC will contest Sneaky and Double Lift for best ADC in spring, and which mid will contest Bjergsen and Jensen? Give him a prediction.
I mean, Stixay is a guy you can probably throw up there. I feel like him and Afro will have a much better split in spring than they did in summer. They very inconsistent, not what you're accustomed to out of that CLG bot lane. I mean, it kind of depends who else is coming in to fill in some of these 80 carry slots. Obviously, if Sven or Forgiven come in, those are definitely going to be guys who are going to contend against the likes of Sneaky and Double Lift. I expect Echo Fox to get a new 80 carry, but I mean, a guy like Altec is a guy who is usually in that top area. I don't think he quite rivals the likes of Sneaky or Double Lift, but I think the main guy who's currently there is probably Stixay. Kind of a boring answer, but.
Yeah, I was going to go a bit more exciting. You took my boy Altec, who I think could potentially
That's
hop
exciting?
into that.
Picking Altec?
Why do you hate Altec, Ken? He was great with Dignitas in the right situation. It's more gutsy than saying Stixay.
Okay, Keith.
There you go.
Keith will be the best AD in NA.
I also think Cody's son, again, could get back in there. He was in the discussion for, like, top bot lane with Ole in North America in summer for a while. And then he went to Worlds. Everyone remembers his not-so-great performance. And it's just on Insect, which didn't go so hot. But he was still up there for a long time.
Yeah.
And possibly the best out there.
Yeah,
so
a new team, we'll see if he can keep up that level on a new team. And mid laners, I think if Selfie gets a chance to play on a roster that's not total butt, then I think he could really showcase that he could be in that top tier of mid laners. He's shown it before. Give the man a chance.
And where's Selfie from? What region?
I believe he is from the European region.
Right.
Yes.
Also, Power of Evil could
Power of
join
Evil?
that conversation.
If he comes in, then that's what, 5-6 EU mid laners?
Yeah.
Bjergsen still counts as EU, even though he's NA.
Who knows? Maybe HOU will take this next step.
That's true. HOU I almost put right below Bjergsen and Jensen.
I do,
Based
yeah.
on last
He needed some help last split, man.
CLG did the flip-de-flip. Everyone but HOU was poopy.
Nice rhyme.
HOU and poopy. Yeah, I guess that works.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
We're okay with it. Jonathan Leake asks, which team has the best chance at winning the spring split from the teams we know? Eric and I both agree on this.
Cloud9. They're going to go through the least roster change, I imagine, and they ended the year pretty well, had a chance to beat World Elite, played like basically an entire split of games if you include the gauntlet and the play-in getting into Worlds, and only got better throughout, so showed they could improve and adapt. I think they're probably going to be the best team in NA. For spring at least. Maybe in summers too.
Yeah. So much of spring is figuring out how to play as a team and figuring out the meta.
They
It's
already
not so
know.
much. If you win spring, doesn't necessarily mean you're the best team in the region. It's just who can kind of adapt to the changes that
does mean
happen
you're
in
the
the
best
crazy
team.
off season.
It means you're the best team in the region.
At that time.
Yeah.
But when at their best, I don't think that's what it means.
Best team in the region until summer.
Till summer.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What's with Andy asks, should TSM hire a Korean coach like Song? I'm not sure it's that simple. Because you've seen some teams without Korean coaches perform pretty well. I mean, look at Misfits. Hussein did a great job with that team. Got them to a very close series against SKT. I don't think it's so much getting a Korean coach, but I know they do help build a solid infrastructure and practice schedule and some of these strategies and things like that that definitely help with the situation. So I don't even know if it's so much as a coach or just trying to recreate an LCK infrastructure in which you practice more often. You're more dedicated to League of Legends, whereas NA for a long time was like, we'll scrim for 2 or 3 hours.
That's bringing in a Korean coach is a pretty big adjustment, at least for someone like TSM, because then you can't just sit down and have a conversation with them. You've got to have a translator who's there going in between things. There's always the chance for miscommunication, especially almost more so than another player. The communication is more key when you're dealing with a head coach, because all you're doing is talking about the game. You're not actually playing the game. You can't just kind of go off of your game instincts with another player. You're just purely communicating, and TSM hasn't really ever had to do that with a coach.
Yeah.
Ever. But maybe they need a change like that, because they seem to go through coaches pretty quickly, pretty often. They've had quite a few.
I mean, Parth could still be coming back.
Right. It sounds like if he does come back, it won't be as a head coach. And he was kind of not expecting to fill that role. He was kind of a temporary fix for that. He's more of the analytics kind of guy for them. So he very well might stick around. But I don't think he speaks Korean.
I don't think so.
So someone's got to come in and speak Korean if they're getting a Korean coach. Or one of their players. Either way, it gets messy.
But yeah, I think that's just an easier thing to say than to be like, oh, if we get a Korean coach, you win.
Yeah.
It's just,
Try it out. Why not?
you can give it a shot, but I'm not sold.
TSM's got to try something.
Go get Hussein from Misfits if you want a good coach.
Sure. Bring some more EU guys over.
Yeah. Romeo Barnes, do you think the NA LCS needs a salary cap? In my opinion, I think it's too soon for a salary cap. I think the import slots already does a similar job as to what a salary cap would do, because it limits you getting this top tier talents from other region and basically limits you to only those 2, and then you got to fill the rest with this NA talent. And sure, you can be like, I'm just going to show the most money I can, get the top 2 guys externally and then the top 3 guys in North America and have this dominant team. But we haven't really seen that even happen in the past in NA. It could happen now with all these NBA teams joining the scene and just having all this money in their bank accounts and just trying to give everyone the most they can. But I think it's still too soon to say we're limiting you to this much money, because how much are teams even willing to spend on these rosters? It's hard to equate a number to like a top tier roster right now.
Yeah, they have no information yet. And if they were to pick a number, it would be totally arbitrary, because, yeah, they're not knowing how much guys are going to be putting out towards this. I think they need to wait at least basically the whole year of franchising before they figure out, they're like, okay, here are a lot of the issues we had with it, and here's how we can fix them. Maybe a salary cap is part of that solution. Maybe it's not. But yeah, right now, they just have no information. We don't even know publicly what most of these guys' salaries are, or any of them. We have more information about like random streamers, how much money they're making, as opposed to these professional players, which is a little insane. And I hope that changes going forward with franchising, so you can actually know how much these guys are making.
Yeah, I want to see the report. Nice. I want to see the report. Cleveland signs Pobelter to a 2-year deal worth whatever amount of money.
Yeah, but it'll just say 2-year deal.
Yes, or just deal.
Signs Pobelter.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Look
For life and your soul.
Yes, that'd be pretty fun.
Very heavy contract.
Mav asked, do you think we'll have competitive ARAM in LCS?
I wish. I'd go pro.
The problem with competitive ARAM is the R. That random aspect.
Yes.
Is a big issue.
Yes. But it would make for some interesting stuff. You couldn't really have a main. Because if you only played, I'm a one-trick pony in ARAM. Reroll.
Yeah.
Reroll. Uh-oh. So yeah, that would be a bit of an issue. But I would love to see that. I'd like some competitive URF. That's what I want.
Oh, URF is disgusting.
You don't like URF?
It's too much. I like one for all.
No. URF or nothing.
Come on, man. Janro asks, how good do you think TL can use Mickey, and where would you rate them to finish in spring?
With the current roster and the current players,
let them have it
on their team. 9th?
Maybe
as high as 8th?
Yeah, reach for the stars. Really get out there.
That's twice as good as 4th, right?
I think so.
That's how it works?
Yeah.
I can't see them going much further than that with this current roster. Maybe that Disney money gets some guys over, but Mickey, he's okay.
I mean,
he's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to carry a team to the playoffs or anything. They're okay.
If they're going to bring guys over, they got to get rid of somebody because they got their imports taken care of.
Yes.
So, there's only so much room to upgrade there. And their jungle position is a sideshow. As we all know, they got 3 guys loaded up
one of them have got to go.
Someone's getting transferred or dropped and then picked up in some weird trade thing. We've seen it before.
Pick, drop, transferred, moved, pushed, shoved.
And then it seems like Lore and Matt are their top and supportive choice. And that's really, they're okay with it. It's been that way for a while. They've had opportunities to make a change. Haven't. So I'm with you. I think maybe 7th is the sky. That's the ceiling. I don't see much higher than that.
I think all 4 of those hypothetical teams we looked at are better than Team Liquid.
Team Envy.
Team Envy, better than Team Liquid. Team 4th, whatever they were. The Santorin team.
Oh, God, that team was bad.
I think they're better than Liquid.
All right. H like a brick, H.
H like a brick.
Is Rain import? He's been in NA since 2016. Would have been a decent pickup. I don't believe, or he's definitely an import.
He's still an import.
Yeah, he's definitely an import. So.
And he's a pretty big question mark himself. Some personal issues. Don't know what kind of mindset he's in going into 2018, which again is pretty much the only question mark C9 has.
Yeah.
Is in that top.
I agree. That's the only question mark. A few more questions, Eric. Me too. Is the approach of getting 5 players from the same region a good move? And do these teams have potential? Well, they'd have to be all from North America. Is the only problem.
Whew.
So, that's a team we could have built, and it'd look pretty interesting. If we took the top guys from each position available, it'd be Pobelter, Mike Young, Cody's son?
Cody's son.
Adrian.
And
then
top.
Zig.
Or maybe you roll the dice and get Licorice up there.
Yeah, you could do that.
That's probably going to be your best all-NA team out of the current guys who aren't already on a team. Obviously, C9 could just pick up Licorice or something. Oh, no,
sure.
They have Jensen. Never mind. So that's probably your best NA team, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, I guess.
It's not bad. But, that's the only way you can have 5 guys in the same region in North America.
Yeah.
So
I don't think any team's doing that. They want to use those import slots and try and improve their team. There's just not enough domestic talent to go around with 10 teams.
Exactly. King Size says, what are TSM's chances of winning NA LCS spring split?
It's pretty hard to say. You have no idea what their roster actually is. If it's the exact same, I mean, they probably have a pretty good chance.
They're probably favorites if they keep it the same.
Yeah, that roster's been fantastic in NA. It's internationally that they've struggled. So if they keep the same roster, it's pretty even with Cloud9, I'd say. If they change one or more guys, probably make it a little less just because they've got to adjust to a new team. Maybe they have synergy right away and roll through the competition. Always possible, but I feel like they're making at least one change, and anytime there's change, you got to adjust. C9 doesn't. Probably. Unless they do.
And we also know how TSM does with change. A little slow.
It's a little slow. They might be like 2 and 4.
I mean, even when Yellowstar came over, they finished 6th in that regular season. And then they won, but...
That was the one they lost.
Oh, right, they did lose.
But they got to the finals.
That's not bad.
Game 5.
Right, they did lose to CLG. You're correct.
Tristan.
But yeah, they take some time. Wolfboy Mendoza. I want to know if you think Faker will be back in next year's Worlds or if he's too broke after this year's Worlds. I think he'll be okay.
I mean,
I don't think he's going to be crying until next year.
Now, you've seen him streaming already.
Yes,
he's streaming quite a bit. He's crushing Cutie Pie's numbers, by the way. But he looks pretty happy. He's laughing. He seems back to his normal self. So I think he's already gotten over losing Worlds, which was pretty quick, by the way. That was like 2 weeks ago. And he's already fine and ready for next split. And I think he will definitely be back at Worlds next year because he going to be angry.
Yeah.
He'll be angry.
He'll be back with a revamped SKT lineup.
Yeah.
Brand new, fresh-looking team.
It could be 4 new players.
It could be.
It could very well be 4 new guys around him. And they'd probably be the best team in Korea.
Yeah.
Because they always pick up insanely solid rosters. I fully expect them to pick up some guy you've never heard of, and he becomes top 2 in his position within the first split of the year. So they got good scouts there at SKT.
For sure. Last 2 questions, Eric. Jeff Knudsen, do you think Kwas will make it back on an LCS team? That's a guy we haven't mentioned, but he is a guy you could just plug in there as a domestic top laner and be like, hey, you're dominant once, maybe you still have that form.
Yeah, and again, a guy who played in the Challenger. I think he was on Temple Storm recently. He wasn't too bad. And I think Swain's a broken champion. Kwas plays a lot of Swain. That's kind of his go-to champ. It could be an interesting one. Kwas might be a guy you could take a chance on. He's definitely on the bubble of making it in the top 10 for some of these teams, I would imagine. But I wouldn't be shocked if he took a spot.
No, that's a reasonable pick, I would say. Final one. Arcos wants to know, honestly, is Mike Young that good? P1 has been struggling ever since he got into the team. That's not entirely true. P1 was struggling before Mike 1 got there. Then when Mike Young joined the team,
they were sick.
They went 3-3 in his first 6 games.
That's sick for P1.
Almost got to the finals of Rift Rivals.
They did better than Cloud9 at Rift Rivals.
Right. And then they came back and they were bad. But they saw improvement upon Mike Young joining the team.
Mike Young and Zig, because he played around top a lot, were basically the only positives in a lot of these games.
Special too
for P1.
At times.
Yeah, but that bot lane wasn't doing much. It was basically all the pressure was on Mike Young to make some plays. I think you see him on a stronger team, he'll really be able to showcase his talents. So yeah, he is that good.
I really do think he is.
He's pretty solid.
I'm all aboard the Mike Young train.
I think we've had first class tickets. Do you get first class on trains?
Sure.
It's like executive lounge or something.
It's got a different some of those beds, you know, the ones that are
beds.
Yeah.
I do love
I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I do love a good bed.
Yeah, beds are sweet.
Just like a bed. Yeah.
They're pretty bed-like.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Thanks for your questions, everybody. Hopefully, when we come back on Monday for Get Boosted, there'll be a slew of rumors and potential transfers that we can talk about and break down. If not,
if there's not, we'll just make some up.
Yes, we'll make some up.
Start tweeting some out. Wow, can you believe X and X did X?
But I'm sure by then we'll hear something, even if it's just this guy is staying on this team, etc., etc.
Yeah, especially the 20th and 21st, right around the corner by then. So there'll definitely be some rumors swirling. Swirling. So.
Yeah, so it should be good.
Be back Monday.
Before we get out of here, DX Racer.
DX Racer!
Very comfortable chairs. I haven't moved once. I'm so comfy.
I've seen you move
You're a
multiple
liar.
times.
Would I lie on air,
Yes.
on stream?
You'd lie on stream, off stream, but
Anyways, you know what's not a lie?
what's that?
You
The
can get
promo
15%
code.
off
Ooh.
of a chair at dxresearch.com if you use the code SHOTCallers. That's the truth.
So you're telling me I just got to type in shot callers?
SHOTCALLERS.
Wow, you struggled with that, huh?
It's not a Z.
Now backwards.
I'm not doing the backwards because that doesn't help you get the promo code. That's an incorrect promo code.
They are very comfortable, though. I have enjoyed our switch up to them.
Yeah, it's not bad. So
Not
go
so
do
bad.
that if you want a nice chair. Look at that.
Oh, fell asleep.
It's like a bed.
No, no.
We're back to this.
We're not back
All
to
right,
beds.
we're done. We're getting
talking
there.
about beds again. Abort.
Stay tuned. Actually, don't stay tuned. We're not.
It's going to be a while. But
If you want to stay tuned, we'll be back on Monday.
yeah,
It'll be a long 5 days, but you can do something else in the meantime.
we'll miss you guys too.
So get boosted at 3 p.m. Monday, 5 live, 2 p.m. on Wednesdays. Subscribe, follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. And we will see you on Monday. Have a lovely weekend and rest of the week, everybody.